Germans simply want the Gebühreneinzugszentrale to be abolished. Why? Well, that's what I'd say. Before we start with this video, you'll find out in this little clip.
Four advanced and overtook China. According to this, in the past 5 years, 5.7% of the weapons delivered worldwide came from the Federal Republic.
Wasn't international law violated there? France is now Russia and Italy is France. Or? What are we actually paying 18 euros and some change every 3 months for? For what? So? I pay mine daily, I told you that, but what are we actually paying for? There was that show on ProSieben, Fun with Flags. They really need to watch that. Now let's move on to the main top topics for today. And you really can't trust Friedrich Merz, says one of those who ruined this country.
Also, to phrase things sharply and not shy away from any argument, especially not with the Union, who really believe he is flesh of their flesh. I think that's our biggest political opponent. Anyone who heard Friedrich Merz today knows you can't trust him or his party.
How can you bet on such a weak horse? He's talking about the biggest political opponent. Well then, Kubicki, I'd really like to know what happens. Go on national television and say that we would form a coalition with the Alternative for Germany. And then let's see what happens here in Germany. Will you still be at the top of the Free Democratic Party then? Yeah, go ahead, do it. If your biggest opponent is the Christian Democratic Union, then you should never come to an agreement. Or am I seeing this wrong? It's lies again, and somehow they're just desperately clinging to power. I mean, really, only the public broadcasting state propaganda media is even worse than them.
Traffic is a major problem in the city, especially now with Sunday's Berlin election campaign. We're in the center on Friedrichstraße under the winds. As soon as we arrive, we encounter it. There's a lot of support for the pedestrian street concept.
Exclusive. The majority of Berliners reject a car-free Friedrichstraße. According to a Forsa survey for the Berliner Zeitung, almost only supporters of the Greens are in favor of a permanent closure. The controversial traffic project is divisive.
Marie Heidenreich, who works nearby, approaches us.
I'm not trying to be pushy, but I wanted to clear up a few questions. I just can't help it.
I'm Marie Heidenreich. I'm running for the state parliament in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. On one hand, I'm with the Greens, spokesperson for the State Working Group on Energy and Climate. I'm also active with the Redenscheid Rostock, where we advocate for safe and attractive bike paths in Rostock.
It's just incredibly quiet here, really beautiful to be able to walk and ride through here without any car noise. It's incredibly relaxing. I can meet up with colleagues here, we can stroll along here, and it just feels good to have an oasis to catch your breath right in the center like this.
And with that, she speeds off. After all, there's another election here in Berlin on Sunday.
Oh, I almost forgot about that.
If it's made by someone with that kind of attitude, like an Alternative for Germany member who's also in office, then I just don't want to buy it. And that's why it's good that it's simply not offered here, otherwise I might end up buying it. And I don't want to eat Alternative for Germany sausages.
Ms. Lazar, do you allow a question from the Alternative for Germany? No.
Not from the Alternative for Germany.
Ein Zufall. The touch of fate has brought the two of us together. The Greens lost 2 percentage points and would get 10% of the votes. The Alternative for Germany would have 15%, down by 2, and the Free Democratic Party would have 15%, also down by 2.
That's state propaganda that we're paying for. However, I talked to people who are election assistants or election observers. I spoke with 10 people in 10 different constituencies, and I asked them, was it possible to manipulate anything there? As for the mail-in votes, I have to say clearly I can't say anything about that. But regarding the ballot box voting, specifically in Baden-Württemberg, it went smoothly and cleanly. This time, especially in those electoral districts, they counted particularly carefully because there was a fear that there might be recounts. And just imagine if the Greens hadn't been counted correctly, that would have been a nightmare for many electoral districts. And yes, I have to say, in 10 electoral districts where I was involved, 8 of them ended up in Green hands, obligatorily speaking.
Leaving it to a right-wing radical. Someone like Mr. Frohnmayer there in Baden-Württemberg, an unfortunate person, so to speak. If you ever hear what he says in the Bundestag, he gets 18% because, for example, they also pick up votes with people to whom they say, look, we're delivering weapons and for our elderly we have no money. That's completely unbelievable.
Let me ask you directly, is that unbelievable or is that exactly the fact, the reality here in Germany? While politicians are earning more and more money, I really have to say it like that. They get hefty pay raises, while some pensioners have to collect bottles. While VW is now cutting another 50,000 jobs, because who would have thought they had a slump in profits and Porsche has now plummeted by 98%? Yeah, I find it pretty remarkable that he stands up there. Mr. Stegner, the one who flew to Baku to talk to Russian agents or whatever, he still hasn't clarified it to this day and then tells us, yeah, that's pretty unbelievable. However, I also have to say, I showed it in the video this morning. Too many people still believe all that junk you find on public broadcasting, like those loading bars. Or can you still remember that thing? It's been a while. I'll just show it to you real quick. That was also one of those absolutely crazy things.
Standing in the middle of the city, Friedrichstrasse, under the winds. As soon as we arrive, we encounter a lot of support for the pedestrian street concept.
Exclusive survey. The majority of Berliners reject a car-free Friedrichstrasse.
Did you see those crowds of people that, for example, could be mobilized to demonstrate against the right? I didn't, honestly. I just saw regular people there walking from point A to point B, maybe going to work, maybe to school or something else. Yeah, but that's exactly the manipulation. It would be exactly the same. Just imagine a Social Democratic Party politician actually saying that it's about education or school in Germany. About topics that actually concern our children, for example, so they could learn better or something like that.
Also with our own profile and on the topics that are important to us, it's about work, it's about education, of course it's about health and care, that also plays a role. Housing, pensions, these are all important topics that also need to be spelled out when we talk about social reform.
Great, the last two governments were led by the Social Democratic Party. Since then, students have been getting catastrophically dumber. Math is already being abolished in schools, and the social issues, the social funds, yes, they're bursting at the seams. And there's never been a housing shortage like there is today. And the Social Democratic Party is trying to tell us that they just need to explain their policies better again. You can't do it, you don't know how it works. Take your hat and just leave before you destroy this country any further. If you have a job, yes, and you're bad at work, you get fired. It's just a shame that we simply can't fire you.